Welcome into the Illini Inquirer Podcast. Illini Inquirer publisher Jeremy Werner here. We're excited to bring in J Leman, Illini Inquirer football analyst, to break down his reaction to a disappointing 42-25 loss for Illinois in Washington. Got to apologize off the start of this podcast. Yes, we did do a live postgame podcast in Seattle, Joey Wagner and I. But the audio, we had some technical difficulties there, which were really frustrating because we didn't hear it on our end. And I know you guys did that were on that live post-game podcast. So we appreciate everyone that was joining us. But sorry we couldn't fix those because we just couldn't hear them like you guys could. Still don't know what went wrong there. The internet seemed fine, all of that. But anyway, I know as a podcast listener myself that there's nothing more frustrating than bad audio. And we had bad audio for 20 minutes. So I just decided to scrap that. So apologies to those who couldn't hear it, who couldn't get our reaction to what happened with that defense. But that's why we're bringing in J Leman here on Monday. We had a travel day yesterday, so we weren't able to re-record it or anything. But we're excited to get J Leman in. We're going to catch up with Aaron Henry, Barry Lunny, Bret Bielema on Monday, just an hour or so after we record this podcast with Jay. So we'll have reaction to that later in the week. You can be at IlliniInquirer.com and see all that. But I do want to apologize to you guys for some audio technical difficulties. And one of the things we like to do is be consistent. So we are apologizing that you didn't have your post-game podcast, a reaction to, because I know that's a big part of your days. We appreciate you guys, but just wanted to acknowledge that off the top of the bat. But we do have J Leman, who gives better analysis than I do anyway. So let's get J Leman in here. But first, I do want to talk about one of our great new sponsors here on the Illini Inquirer podcast. And we told you about it last week, Game Day Spirit. We're excited to bring them in as a new sponsor of the show. They love our show and our audience and are wanting to extend their opening discount offer with our listeners for another week. This couldn't come at a better time. With cold weather finally showing up here in Central Illinois, now is a great time to visit GameDaySpirit.com and pick out some new Illini pieces to bundle up for the rest of the fall. One of the things that I love most about shopping at Game Day Spirit is that they're always bringing in new items. Almost every day they have something new hit the shelf. And in the past week alone, they've added new quarter zips from Nike, a new brand, Flag and Anthem, and more NIL basketball jerseys, Nike Military Appreciation style bomber jackets, and more. So go check them out. There's truly no better place to go get your Fighting Illini gear than Game Day Spirit. If you're local, visit them at the corner of 6th and Green in Campustown and Neal and Kirby in Champaign, or shop with them 24/7 online at GameDaySpirit.com. Don't forget to take advantage of their new exclusive offer for Illini Inquirer listeners. Take 15% off your next purchase online with them when you enter the code Illini15 at checkout. That's Illini15 at checkout to save 15% off your next online order. This offer is brought to you by Game Day Spirit, where the Illini fans shop. J Leman is next on the Illini Inquirer podcast. All right, let's welcome in J Leman, our Illini Inquirer football analyst. And Jay, we got a lot to break down. I'm excited about bringing you on because we didn't have the podcast. We had the podcast, but we didn't have it because the audio was bad in the first 20 minutes. So I know a lot of people are interested in hearing your thoughts about a really disappointing game for Illinois. And you and I were talking before this. There's a lot to talk about in college football with the impact of the playoff and what that means for how we view success in college football moving forward. But I just want to start off here, Jay. We'll get into Illinois being out of the college football playoff race. We will discuss that. 42 points Aaron Henry's defense allowed. They're now allowing 40 points per game during Big Ten play. What did you see on Saturday? Giving up 6 touchdowns in the first 7 drives to not even really give your offense and Luke Altmaier a chance. Just take it where you want to go.
Yeah, first off, I just say it was too easy. Just bottom line, too easy. Like sometimes you'll give up some points and you're like, I gave up a play there and we had short fields. Maybe it was short fields against Ohio State, or USC's offense is really good and J Leman balled out. This was just entirely too easy. And it was a demolition of the defense at every level. First off, let's start up front. Very few pressures. I think he was pressured maybe 2 or 3 times out of 30 or some throws. So not getting the pressure you need. And it wasn't just quick game, where sometimes we've seen them negate pressure by quick game. No, there was a long times where he was in the pocket. I thought as far as getting a push, they ran the ball when they wanted to most of the time with Jonah Coleman, and a good player. But their offensive line coming in was supposedly banged up. They didn't play like they were banged up. Supposedly missing a left tackle. Didn't play like that. And then on the defensive backfield, it was reminiscent of 2016 to 2020 where we don't have guys in the vicinity sometimes. And I know Bret said in his press conference, they let one guy go, meaning some guy just went off his coverage. Not contesting catches, guys open across the field, knowing what's going to happen. They're going to throw the sticks and not stopping it. So all around, I thought every phase of that defense, not taking advantage of interceptions in your hands, linebackers not playing particularly well. Guys, it was every facet of it. Containing Damon Williams, that's a whole nother segment. Third down, whether it be the 1st and 20, the first drive of the game, I believe it was 1st and 20 after the hold call on Leon Lowry. Okay. That was the most telling of almost anything. Your 1st and 20, you can't get a stop. I think you had a 3rd and 12 there, and you have linebackers and nickels caught in no man's land. The worst spot to be caught on a scramble is at the line of scrimmage. Either rush the quarterback or get back in coverage. I saw that with Tanner Heckle. I saw that with our linebackers. No man's land. 3rd and 18. Can't get off the field. Critical moments. So there's so many things I can keep going on this, but I just thought we didn't tackle over great. We weren't physical at the point of attack. I thought we were a strong football team the first 2 or 3 years under Bret Bielema, especially the defensive line. I don't feel like we're strong. I feel like we are not physically. I don't know if it's – I'm not knocking Tank and what he does. It doesn't feel like we're pushing anybody around, and that's really concerning for me. So that's just my mind being scattered on everything that I saw, but it was really, really bad football. You look like a lower third Big Ten defense, and I will tell you this, you play defense like that, these next 4 games are not going to be easy. As good as your offense has been at times, you can't outscore people. It just doesn't work in college football the way that Bret wants to play, and that's what our option has been lately, is to outscore people, and I don't like it.
I agree with you. And here's the thing. Illinois needs to add more talent. Like it is clear Illinois needs to add more talent on the defensive side of the ball, especially. But to play at a top-tier level in the Big Ten, to be a top-tier team, Illinois needs to keep getting better talent. At the same time, Jay, if you're going to run the defense you're going to run, you have to be well coached. You have to be good fundamentals. You have to do all those things. And this is where Aaron Henry comes in. Illinois is not good at what it's trying to do right now. It does not look like a well-coached, a fundamental, a team that knows what it's doing. Like there's a lot of – we'll dive into the film. There's a lot of moments where the guys don't seem on the same page with coverages. They don't seem to know what they're supposed to be running. There's communication issues, all of that. That's where Aaron Henry's got a problem right now, because you can have a lack of talent, and we can understand that, but you can't execute anything, Jay. Even if you're trying to keep things in front of you and, tackle well, all those things, like they are not executing well. And that's a poor reflection.
Here's the thing. I thought coming into the year with, if you stayed healthy, Illinois had a chance to be a top third defense in the Big Ten. I really did. I thought that was legit. You had some all Big Ten players returning. You had guys at every level you felt really good about, every level of the defense, that is. I think right now they have enough players to be an average Big Ten defense.
Yes.
They have enough players to be an average Big Ten defense. They're not playing like an average Big Ten defense. I think in Big Ten conference games, they'd be at or near the bottom for every defensive statistic. And so when you have the athletes to be average, but you're not playing at an average rate in conference, you're playing below that, then you have to look at the scheme, you have to look at coaching. Because there are teams right now defensively that don't have the athletes that we have that are playing better. And I know Bret's go-to line has been, hey, we got to look at what we're asking them to do. We got to look at what our schemes are. And I think it's a way to really say, and I like Bret, it's a way to not say much at all, though, right? Because you don't have to call someone out and whatnot. I understand why he does that. But at the end of the day, Bret's a defensive guy. He's won a lot of games in the Big Ten Conference, and he knows that this defense is broken. It's broken. Fundamentally,
I was going to ask you that question. I was going to ask you, is this defense broken?
It is broken. You can't give up 40 a game in conference. You have a good quarterback, but still an inexperienced quarterback. We saw that the week before with 3 picks against Michigan. Damon Williams, what is an inexperienced quarterback? talented for sure. But there's not one level of your defense that's playing up to par. And you don't have anything that you can go hang your hat on as far as we can get in this coverage, we can get a stop. There's nothing. You're trying all kinds of different things. Also, when's the last time you felt like somebody on defense was going to make a play for you? Think about that. I'll throw it back on the players here too. And I can tell you, no one wants to be more successful than the players and the coaches. It's not like they're not trying. So I want to say that. And I've been there on bad defenses. I've been there on good defenses. But it feels like you're on offense. You're like, okay, we know Luke can make a play. We know Beatty could pop one. We know Fagan might pop one or whatever, right? You're on defense, though. Who's making a play for you? It hasn't been Gabe up front lately. Rosiak has been solid, but has been banged up here and there. Matthew Bailey seems to be able to stay healthy. I think Miles Scott tackled particularly well. Heckel has really struggled at the nickel position, being a full-time starter. I think he's a great sub-package guy. Juice Clark, I think he's been solid, but he didn't play his best game against Washington at all. And Cox did not play his best game either. Both of them, I thought our corners played really, really bad. And that's the bottom line. I think fundamentally this defense is broken. I don't see a way right now with how they've been playing. And I hate to say this, but to turn the ship in a way. I don't see a way that can get better right now outside of wholesale changes.
So I want to dive back into that. This looks like
because I like everybody. I like Aaron. No. I like the football players we have, but we're just not playing very well on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I want to circle back to that. I don't want to avoid that. But I do want to say this is just me who's watched a lot of football. I'm not what you, CJ. This doesn't look like a crew that is just playing football. This looks like a crew that's thinking, doesn't look confident. Tanner Heckel is one of the top ones there. Just does not feel like he wants to hit anybody. Doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a team that just feels like they can go out and make plays. Like they feel like they're thinking too much and they feel like they're reacting. I mean, this is a soft defense, Jay. And I just looked across and I saw Washington. That's not a great defense. They're able to get after it at times. Like Ryan just got aggressive at times. And I sit there and go, at some point, if you're going to get beat in this shell defense, trying to keep everything in front of you, why not just err on the side of aggression and just play man, keep it simple. If you get beaten man, you get beaten man because you're getting beat anyway, and get after the quarterback to allow someone like Gabe to unlock him a little bit because he has not done much at all the last couple games, and he's your best defensive player. So what do you think of that? What are you seeing in that?
I would agree. I think so. I can see where, Aaron Henry says, well, we went man. And then he runs for on 3rd and 18. He runs for a first down, right? So they get a little bit more aggressive there. But I thought the first third down of the first drive, hey, bring pressure, make the ball come out quick so you know what the DBs are going to do. Make the 3-man rush and let's try to get there. Let's try to cover. It hasn't worked well. I know we try it sometimes, but I would say this: make it so that and you're dictating what the offense has to do. You might not be able to stop it. You might not be able to stop the quick game with the ball coming out quick, but at least you know it's going to happen. Right now, I feel like we let them kind of dictate, let the quarterback just kind of sit back there, pick and choose. And I don't see, and it's tough to play excited defensively when you're not stopping them. I don't see a ton of emotion. I don't see a ton of excitement. The confidence you talked about, and confidence is a huge thing. Coaches can give you a scheme, but they can't give you confidence. You got to go earn that confidence and go execute against a good opponent. And I think they're really struggling confidence-wise on every front. And some of that is because you lost a great leader in Xavier Scott, but that's not it, right? That's not the only thing. We can't keep pointing to that. I don't think some of our players have played at the level that they were expecting them to play. And that's just the bottom line. That's why our defense has just been, quite frankly, pathetic during Big Ten play. And if they don't get the defense figured out, these 4 games are not guaranteed. These are going to be toss-ups at best with a defense like that, because you're always going to let teams back in the game. And the last couple, the games that we have gotten beat badly, we've gotten way outscored in the first quarter. You look at maybe not Indiana that much, but the second quarter they took off. But Ohio State, Of course, in Washington, it felt like it was getting away. Just felt like, man, we're not built to come from behind. That's not how we want to do it. If you can keep the game close in the third and fourth quarter, I really like our chances with Luke. But at the same time, we're not getting any kind of stops, and we're not getting off the field. The one stop we had is because they dropped a pass in the flat. I think Decker DeGraff dropped it. And we thank God they didn't go for it, because they probably would have got it. And so I think that's the struggle bus that we're on, is that we just cannot get off the field.
Yeah, it's just, I feel bad for Luke Altmaier in this offense, not having a chance. Obviously didn't play perfect, but they played well enough to compete at a team like that.
Right.
So we're talking with Aaron Henry today. He's still the defensive coordinator. What's Bret Bielema got to do? What's Aaron Henry got to do here, Jay?
Well, and we'll talk more about this, but college football is way more cutthroat now, okay, than it's ever been. Meaning that as a college football coach, if you don't make the playoff and you think that you're supposed to make the playoff, your fan base thinks you're supposed to make the playoff, they're getting rid of teams, whether it's Billy Napier, whether it's Brian Kelly, whoever it may be. We've seen a lot of guys just go. But what we haven't seen, okay, and I'll wrap on this, is guys cutting coordinators loose. We haven't seen that much. We saw it last year with Ryan Walters at Purdue cut Graham Harrell, but I don't think in the Big Ten we've had one coordinator get let go yet in season. I'm trying to think.
I think you're right.
So we haven't seen that. So we haven't seen what's happening to head coaches happen really to coordinators yet. And so I know people want wholesale changes. I don't think there's going to be a change during the season. I'm not sure necessarily how that benefits.
Yeah, because the one thing I was thinking is the guy I think it would call plays most likely is Archie McDaniel. He's never done it. And then there's also, Jay, early signing periods right after the season, like December 3rd. If you make a change, I think it would be after that.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, some of these players are tied to recruits, right? Some of these coaches are tied to recruits. But right now, I can tell you this. Illinois is at too high of a level as a program and in the build of Bret Bielema here in year 5 to retain a coordinator if you finish the season giving up 40 points a game in conference. It just can't happen. It'd be the same as retaining and we saw Bret make a switch with Peterson when he didn't like what he saw after the first year. But it'd be the same as if a O coordinator in conference was averaging 10 or 15 points. It just, you want to be able to keep them, right? Because it doesn't give you a chance to win.
I do feel like change has to happen. And at some point, where did Aaron go wrong from last year to this year, Jay? Because last year they made some strides. They had some success doing what they're doing now with this defense. Yeah. What's changed?
Man, I wish I could tell you, but it's the you made the key. It's the regression in year 3. He had progression in year 2. Year 1, you felt like there was going to be a struggle. The personnel changes were wholesale, especially on the back end. You felt like they kept you in games last year. We said they had to win games this year. And other than the Duke game where they forced all those turnovers, they've lost us some games, I would say. You know, we're not.
He said the goal is to be dominant. They're one of the worst defenses in the Big Ten.
Yeah, not anywhere close to dominant. I would say this. I'm just going to take some stabs. Let's start with the defensive line. Other than Gabe Akis, I think James Thompson is a really good run stuffer, but I don't know how much pressure our other guys bring, okay? So we haven't been able to get much pressure. I will say a guy who's popped a little bit is Ansel McCullum. I think he's improved over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I don't want to just say wholesale everybody's bad. That's not the case. Yeah. But we're certainly not scheming enough or bringing enough pressure to get pressure on the quarterback, okay? So that's been big. The defensive backs, it's been really bad, to be honest. I mean, they're rotating, trying to find the right combination. I don't think that our safeties have played at the level you thought they were going to play. You felt like you had 3 good safeties with Mac Rusettage, of course, Miles Scott, and Matthew Bailey. I don't think they played the level they thought those guys were going to play at. I really don't think they've played at that level. I know Matthew Bailey's been banged up. I think Tanner Heckel was a year away from getting on the field. I think he's playing probably too early. I think Cox at times has been consistent. He wasn't great last game. Caleb Patterson has been banged up really since Indiana. Juice Clark came back for USC, so he was out. He's still in game 3 or 4 at this point, okay? And then linebackers, other than Rosiak, we've struggled to find consistency at linebacker. We've seen Kreutz get beat out. We've seen Malachi Hood get beat out. We've seen JoJo Hayden come in. Kanena Odeluga sometimes. Who's the guy that's going to go make a play? At the end of the day, defense is always about this. I had a defensive coordinator tell me this one time. Listen, Jay, you can do all you want, do your job and stuff, but at the end of the day, there's no plays called for a defensive player like an offensive player, meaning, hey, we're going to run this route to you. You have got to go make the play happen. And that is what we're looking for. Can you go make a play happen within the framework of the defense? I don't see any of those guys. This is why they pay big bucks to guys like Micah Parsons or TJ Watt or whatever, because they can make a play that can stop 1 or 2 drives a game. That's the key, right? We don't have a guy right now that can do that. We don't have a DB that can go and make a play like that when we need a play, they're going to go make a play. We just don't have that right now. And coupled with our scheme not being great, we've really struggled. And here's the thing. We've seen this scheme. I'll tell you, Mike Hankwitz, say what you want about Mike Hankwitz, longtime DC for Northwestern, ran a very similar soft scheme, but had a great defense because they came up and tackled and made a mistake, didn't give big plays up, and got a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. And Northwestern, when they had it rolling with Fitzgerald, didn't have the athletes we had, but they were coaching them up. So I don't know. I'm just talking out loud here. I'm frustrated along with you, Illinois fans. I haven't seen defense like this since probably the Lovey time.
2018.
And there's been games, though, and you can see it from the very beginning. I'll go through a couple games. 2023 Kansas. That was a game you're just like, no chance to stop them. Okay. I think we gave up like 15 plays of 20 yards or more. You felt that way in Oregon 2024. No chance to stop them. Now you could say there's an athletic differential there. You felt that way against Indiana. Whoa, man, that was a tough game, right? You felt that way a little bit, not as much. You felt it was hard to get off the field against Ohio State. You didn't feel like you played all that bad against Ohio State. It was shorter fields and whatnot. But then this was one of the game where this was on par for me with the Kansas game, where I just felt like, we couldn't get off the field.
I love covering football games. I love going to Memorial Stadium on a beautiful fall Saturday, just like last week against Ohio State. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite reasons going up to that press box is they have Columbia Street Roastery coffee there, and they have specifically my favorite, their Nitro Brew. I have about 2 or 3 of those a game, gets me all jacked up for it, but it's some of the most delicious coffee, smooth flavor, great finish, put a little cream in there. It's one of my favorite things about going to cover an Illinois football game. And right now, you can go to Columbia Street Roastery, great local coffee spot here in Champaign-Urbana, get all your freshly roasted coffee, so many fall flavors to choose from, including their pumpkin brew. If you like the PSLs, go try that out. But go to their website, csrcoffee.com, and you can get free shipping on orders over $45. You can get 10% off your first order as well with code GOILLINI2025. So go to csrcoffee.com, get 10% off your first order with code GOILLINI2025, and you get free shipping on orders over $45. And if you visit them locally, try that Nitro Brew. Tell them Jeremy sent you from Illini Inquirer. Columbia Street Roastery, csrcoffee.com.
So Rutgers has a good offense. Like
they
can throw the ball. They can run the ball. What can you do short term? What can you do short term to change this up?
Well, I'll tell you a story for all you Illinois fans that have been around a while. Most of my stories go back to the 90s or the mid 2000s. So let's go back in the time machine. 20 years ago, probably about this week, 20 years ago, we played Penn State at night and got demolished. I mean, it was Zook's first year. It was 63 to 10, maybe the same score as the Indiana game, to be honest. It was that bad.
It was.
And I don't think they threw a pass in the second half. I don't think they threw a pass. But that Penn State team was loaded. Michael Robinson ran me over a couple times. They had Derek Williams. They had Paul Posluszny on defense, Sean Lee. They had Tamba Ali. It's a good football team, okay? That was off of a bye week, and I remember we weren't stopping anybody on defense, and so we put in a brand new defense, like all kinds of different schemes, all kinds of different stunts. We were going to have an odd front, we were an even front team, and we were going to have all kinds of different schemes, and we still laugh to this day because some of the calls were called Okie Gangster and Okie Mob. It was we call it the Mafia package, but it just didn't really work great. Obviously, it was just a disaster. It was trying to make wholesale changes to give it a chance. And when we were good back in 2007, we beat Penn State 2 years later. We asked him, why did you do that? Like, why did we run that whole defense and just get demolished? You're like, listen, bro, when you're giving up 45 a game, did we really have a choice other than just to do something different, right? And so sometimes making wholesale changes like that doesn't necessarily work. But if I had to do one thing, you got to build on your strengths. I think our run defense has been better than our pass defense. Okay. Yep. I would continue to solidify that. But getting off the field on third down, I'm looking at everything I've done third down. Okay. I'm looking at everything I've done and I'm scrapping it. I'm saying this has not worked. We've got to change the whole situation on third down. Now, some of that is early down situation, right? First and second down. I get that. But our third down, we're changing everything. If we've pressured 10% of the time, I'm going to pressure 60% of the time. If we've had 3-man fronts, I'm going to go to 5-man fronts. I've got to change something. I'm going to put my best passer. If Daniel Brown healthy and Joe Barna and Akis and Angelo McCullum and Rosiak are my best rushers, I'm going to get them all in on the rush package, right? I'm going to try to get to the quarterback no matter what if I think it's a pass play. I'm going to take out guys. I'm going to get my best 11 guys on the field, regardless of position. So if I think that although Tanner Heckle might be my best nickel, but I think there's a better guy out there, I'm moving that guy out there. Or I'm playing base defense because I feel like, hey, there's better. So I get my best 11 guys on the field. I look at third down and I do the exact opposite of what I've been doing. I put my best pass rushers in on pass rush plays. And I try to change something to try to create momentum in the defensive side. Now, all this stuff is easier said than done. Scheme-wise, I work really, really hard and on some of my disguises. I know we try to disguise. I try to disguise. And I put my best 11 out there as much as I can be out there. And I say, guys, we're not platooning. I'm not here to develop. We're here to win games. You can platoon in any month but November, but this is the time to win games. And so if you can go, you go, okay? And I know you want to have a rep count on the D-line because you're going to get tired, and I get that. But if you can go, you go. It's all hands on deck because we got to get stops. And that's the kind of intensity that you got to have. The intensity of a hyena, right? Going after somebody.
Attack a hyenas.
Intensity that you got to have. That's all hands on deck. Whatever it takes to get a stop, whatever it takes to get the ball back, you got to get it. And you got to have a player drive that too. You got to have a player and say, this is the time that we have got to get a stop. You got to look people in the eye and say, listen, we have got to get off the field. Whatever it takes to get off the field. I don't care what you got to do with inside the rules. You got to get off the field. We got to get the ball back because we are demoralizing their offense by shortening their time of possession, not giving them enough possessions. Here's what I'll say about 2017. And I always hate to go back to that, but we compare stuff. One thing that team had, one, we never got blown out, okay, in that year. We had 3 close losses, except for the Rose Bowl. We'll take that one as a blowout. Number 2 is this, is we could consistently run the ball and we could stop the run. I think when you can do those things, you can make teams one-dimensional. That team had over 40 sacks that 2017. They really didn't have any great rushers. Will Davis, probably our best pass rusher, but schemed up. We had sacks from linebackers, a couple sacks from a corner here and there. We got pressure on the quarterback. Right now, without pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to get any turnovers, right? If you don't have pressure on the quarterback, you cannot get pressure or you cannot get turnovers. That's the key to pressure, to turnovers is pressure. Man, that was a rant. You got me going. I'm just the hyenas.
Pack of hyenas. I love it. No, that's the approach. That's the mentality I'm just not seeing. Like, it's a simple thing, but it just a defense that I thought last year at this time was starting to hit its stride. You saw these sub packages emerge. You saw Malachi Hood. Like, nobody's getting better. Nobody's getting better this year, and that's been really frustrating to watch.
Concerning. That's concerning because you're in a developmental program, and Bret prides himself on guys getting better, right? And so that's the thing I'm concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel for the offense, Jay. Like, I thought Luke Altmaier, I know he threw 2 picks. One of them wasn't his fault. The other one, trying to make a play, and he had a rush in his face. But I think this offense got them in the game. I think Luke Altmaier is great, and that's the concern is you don't want to waste what is one of the better quarterbacks this program has seen. Barry Lunny has been fantastic.
Lunny, you don't want to waste Lunny, who's been creative and getting in the end zone and doing different things. And despite the O-line at times not playing great, I'm afraid like when your system's not working, you call up Comcast or whatever, they say, hey, I want you to do a hard reset. You unplug the whole thing for 10 seconds and you count to 10. And at one point, you got to zoom out. We're 5-3. The sky's not falling. We're not Wisconsin. We're not Michigan State in a good way. Minnesota just got blown out 41-3 by Iowa. Again, Iowa seems to be the cream of the crop when it comes to old Big Ten West teams, still to this day. But that being said, the standards have raised.
Yes.
Illinois fans are expecting more out of their, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to be expecting more, not say, what will be. It's a good thing to demand that it's more of a game. So you got to zoom out a little bit. You don't want to do a hard reset. But we're at the point now, Jeremy, where we could have 2 brand new coordinators next year and feel like you're going to have a new offensive scheme and a new defensive scheme. Now,
new quarterback, new defense, a lot of different faces on defense.
You feel like it could look like a very different football team where up until this point, 2022, you had some unique football players. You had Chase Brown. You probably had a little more early success than you thought you would, although they didn't finish that year great. It's been a slow build from the recruiting angle, from everything else. It's been a slow build to this point. And you know what? You still have a chance to get 8-9 wins and go to a good bowl game. There's still momentum. It's not going to be a 5-7 season. I'd be shocked if it was, okay? Right. But expectations have grown. And what I see is you could have 2 brand new coordinators. You feel like, especially with all the coaching changes, that Lunny's probably going to get a job at either a group of 5 or maybe a coordinator at a high-level Power 5 school, Power 4 school that opens up. And so you're thinking about this, and you're like, okay, a new quarterback, like you said, possibly a transfer, possible Carson Boyd or another guy they're developing. Man, there's a lot of change in the air, right? And so it seems like a critical juncture again for Illinois football.
That's why, I wrote, it's really disappointing. You missed a great window. For the season you have, the quarterback you have, as you said, the coordinator you have, everybody that was returning. You missed this window by getting blown out by Indiana, Ohio State handling you, and then Washington going on the road and beating you by 17 points. Like, you missed that window to kind of sneak in, right? I don't think any of us thought they were going to win 11 games and do what Indiana's doing. And Indiana just makes this so hard because everyone thinks they can be that. This is just
Indiana
rare.
is truly what Indiana's doing. As a side note, is a true. I have not seen anything other than this, anything like this in the history of college football. With a program like this to go from this to this, what Drew Brees did at Purdue was close, but not this kind of dominance. It was a totally different style of football. What they are doing at Indiana, what Cignetti is doing, is far and beyond what any other rebuild I've ever seen done.
So that's why that holding Illinois to that standard, I just it's so rare that I don't do it. But you did miss that window because that 4th spot in the Big Ten is wide open to potentially get into the college football playoff.
To me, it looks like Washington's that 4th spot. It very well could be. You look at their next 3 games; they're probably going to win them. Then they have Oregon at home.
Yeah,
Dante Moore versus Damon Williams. I mean, anything could happen. I think Oregon will win that game, but it gives you a chance to play in.
For me, it's if USC, Washington, or Michigan gets 10 wins. Those are the teams. Iowa, I don't think will, but if they do, they have a chance to get in there as well. But that's why these next 4 games are still important for Illinois. Like, they've never won 9+ games in back-to-back seasons. They haven't won 8+ games in back-to-back seasons since 1990, Jay. You can't now let this go from disappointed we didn't get into the college football playoff to a really disappointing year. Like that you didn't even like 6 or 7 wins would be a really disappointing win, in my opinion. And I know you're 5-3, 2-3 in the Big Ten. You've played the toughest, besides Wisconsin, schedule in the Big Ten to this point. Now it lets up. Like you have the easiest by far. Rutgers isn't easy. Wisconsin obviously showed something against Oregon. I still feel like that team's ready to be done. Northwestern is scrappy. Maryland is young, but they obviously won their first 4 games. None of it's going to be easy, Jay, but Illinois should win most of these games here. And if they do, you can continue building this program and sustaining success.
Well, you feel like you feel like, especially with our quarterback, you have an advantage. Okay, number one. Number two, you also feel like where Bret's at in building this program, you're the farthest program kind of built up compared to Rutgers. I know Shiano's been there a while, but he's trying to build it. I know Loxley's been there, but he's kind of rebuilding with a younger player after Talia Tagovailoa left. So it's kind of a rebuild. And Fickle, it's been a dumpster fire in Madison to the success that they have been accustomed to. Braun has had a good year, but hasn't played a ton of guys. They
have 5 wins now. They might have 5 wins when Illinois plays them.
Yeah. It gets a lot tougher for them. But that being said, you feel like Illinois, again, on paper, should beat these teams. But defense is usually the most consistent part of a football team, whether good or bad, right? It's like if you can count on your defense. That's why Illinois was always in games when they're in 2022. It's just like you can stay close, you can hang around, you can be there and everything. Man, you let a team get away from you. 2 touchdowns, 17 points. Boy, it's tough. And when you can't get off the field to get more possessions or get turnovers to get back into it, it's really tough. Do I think that Bret can turn the ship? Yeah, I got a lot of confidence in Bret. I got a lot of confidence in Luke. I don't have a lot of confidence in our defense, and they don't have a lot of confidence, I'm afraid, in themselves, like you mentioned. And I think that's the difficult part of it. And so it's hard to stomach that, man, you felt like you have a lot of returning starters, I think 17, right? You have a quarterback. You feel like you're supposed to be good on the line of scrimmage, and you miss that window for that 4 spot. It's difficult to stomach a bit.
All right, Jay, so what's the key to bouncing back for Illinois against Rutgers at home? A defense that's actually worse than yours in the Big Ten right now, I believe. So what's the key to taking care of business and getting back on the winning track here after back-to-back losses?
So number one, I think we've got to start fast. We have not started – in our 3 losses, we have not started fast, okay? Number two is I think the offense – I'll start with the offense – has to play exceptional. The wide receivers did not play their best game. Some of that was conditions. I don't think Hudson Clement played his best game. I don't think Beatty played his best game. Some of that was conditions. The offense has to play their best game. When you have an area of your team that's very weak, I always say never shake with your left hand, meaning shake with your right hand. It's your strength, right? So like play to your strengths. Offense, okay? And then special teams as well. That's been a strength, not always a strength in our losses, right? We got that muff punt that we missed. We should have got on. We didn't get on it. But that being said, those have been our strengths. Defensively, I think one, like we talked about, you got to get up the field on 3rd down. I think that Bret himself, being a defensive coach, has to take a more hands-on approach. I think you do. I think you have to be in the meeting rooms. I've been in those weeks where the head coach is watching linebacker drill, the individual linebacker drills. He's watching the team defense. He's not even over on the offensive side. And
what's that like as a player?
And the message is, you're not playing up to standard. Your coach then is under fire because his players for his position and for the group of defense is not up to standard of what needs to happen to win football games. And you can feel it. I remember Ron Zook coming over and watching linebacker drills just like this, just to let everyone know that it's on you. Watching all these, I remember Ron Turner doing it as well. Remember NFL coaches doing it as well, who are very hands off. Will go and watch the position that didn't play well. I guarantee you, the offensive line had that after after the Duke game, where I guarantee you he was over there with Bart Miller, just watching the guys. And I think that's what it's going to be like. I think it's going to be hands-on. I think right now, if I had to guess, I bet Lunny creates a game plan, and there might be a little bit of input from Bret and say, oh, what about this? What about that? But for the most part, Barry's going to run what he wants to run. I think I think with Aaron Henry, I think it may have been like that, but I think at this point it's going to be much more of a let's throw this in here. Let's make sure this guy gets in here to play. This guy needs enough reps. If he can go, he can get in there. Who's the guys that we need to be on the field the most? I think the personnel and the play calling is going to be much more, as far as the game plan goes, a much more Bret will have his hands in it. I'm not saying Bret's going to call the defense. I'm saying what's on the call sheet for what does get called is going to have a lot of Bret's fingerprints on it, because that's what happens when head coaches have a piece of their team that's not operating up to standard.
All right, Jay, before we wrap up, was there anything offensively you really wanted to hit on?
Well, offensively, I think this is at times we run the football, but we're not having enough time of possession, guys. And Luke ran the football well. I like the quarterback run in there. We don't have enough time of possession, or we're too far behind to really dominate at the line of scrimmage. I actually think if we had a game that was going back and forth, we would have worn out that Washington front. I really believe that. And I believe the play action would have been much more open for the reason he threw a pick is they know they're throwing the football, right?
He has to make a play. Like, you have to force some things at some point.
And I love this. I will tell you this, and I don't call a lot of plays, but when I saw three receivers out to one side, I said, it's going to be a deep out to Beatty. And there were three defenders there. I tell you what, Luke put it on the money. In between three defenders, bounced off of Beatty's hands and made a pick. Everybody knew it was coming. Nobody could stop it. They were all there, okay? But this is what happens when we get in situations like this.
And it's a 3rd and 21 because of a penalty, right?
The two penalties, the Croods penalty was critical. That took 4 points off the board. That one could have taken 3 or 4 or 7 points off the board. Those were critical errors and penalties during that time. I couldn't stand that. The 3rd and 20, I couldn't stand. The 3rd and 18 or whatever. All of those were just Croods dropping a pick, us not getting on the ball, a couple fumbles bounce right back in their hand, and that was, that was discouraging. So stuff didn't go your way on that. You felt like, okay, we're going to have the ball in the second half to start, and the weather was probably the worst the first 5 minutes of the third quarter. We were like, okay, well, that sucks. That kind of backfired, right? So did you have some of those things go? But good teams overcome that, right? And if you can run the ball consistently, you can do that. So offensively, but I will finish with this, and that is what we talked about is college football is completely changing right before our eyes. As far as if you don't make the playoff and you are considered in your fans' minds a top 25 team or a playoff worthy team, they're just cutting you right now. Whether you're Penn State, whether you're LSU, whether you're Florida, they'll let you go. And that's much, much different than what we've seen years past, where teams wait to November, maybe the end of the year, maybe 2 or 3 games left to go in the year. This is a different ball. This is a different game.
It's October, and this is an insane carousel. I mean, to have the powers you have, Penn State, LSU, Florida, on top of several other Power 4 programs, is absolutely insane right now. But I thought, and I think coaches thought, expanding the college football playoff would help save jobs. I think it's costing jobs by expanding, because the expectation, it's easier to get in the playoff, even though it's still hard at 12. The expectation is, if you don't make that, then what are we doing here? So, yeah, and for fan base, like I said with Illinois, if you don't make the playoff, it feels like a failure now, even though Illinois hasn't sniffed anything like that in a long time. So it's amazing how that's kind of happened, Jake, because I think everyone thought there'd be a little bit more leniency for these coaches. It feels like that's gone the opposite way.
It's gone the opposite way. We're going to see more people fired. All I know this is, one way or another, Lane Kiffin's going to get paid big bucks somewhere, whether it's at Ole Miss, whether it's at LSU, whether it's at Florida. I mean, we're rumors of $13.5 million a year at Florida or something like that. He's going to get paid big bucks. Some of these guys are going to get paid huge dollar amounts. Huge.
Summerall, it's a good job. Time to be him.
Yes.
If you're Lane Kiffin, what do you do? Because you're going to be in the college football playoff here. You're going for a national championship while you're getting wooed by these jobs.
I don't know if Illinois fans might like this. Might not like this, but Ole Miss is kind of the Illinois of the SEC. They have a couple good years every now and then, but they're not a traditional power at all. They're not. And so you have a chance to go to Florida or LSU, which traditionally are more powerful than you.
LSU's the best job there, right?
You would think so, yeah, with their backers and whatnot, and they've been much more consistent. They're only 6 years removed from, if Coach O can win national championship there, which is crazy, other people can win national championship. Saban's done it. Les Miles did it. So they've had, I think, 3 natties in the last 20 years. And Florida's had 2 with Urban Meyer. So I think it's just interesting. I always forget his name, but the guy for Georgia Tech, I don't hear his names a lot for being a coach. He's 8-0.
Brent Key.
Yeah. He's a guy that you're like, how come nobody saw? Or Clark Lee at Vandy. I'm like, how is nobody I'm like, those 2 guys don't hear about.
We were watching the highlights, Joey and I in Seattle, and I saw Clark Lee come up in that big win, and I was like, man, for Kurt Cignetti, this guy'd be the no doubt national coach of the year. Poor guy.
Right. No, I mean, I saw a meme like it's going to happen. Vandy versus Indiana in the title game, something like that. Just be crazy. But I look at some of these coaches. It's like some of these coaches get in vogue of like, this is the hot pick to be. And Lane deserves it. Lane's done a really good job. But you look at him. You look at Clark Lee, Brent Key, all those guys. I'm like, man, somebody's going to get paid out of those group. Georgia Tech is certainly not a great job when you're right next to Athens, right? But he's done a phenomenal job winning there. And so just a lot of different – it's a weird time in college football. Didn't you have a rumor that Sark wants to go back to the NFL? It's going to go to Tennessee, and they're going to pay Saban $15 million to come to Texas? I mean, it's just like it has just got insane.
If you had Texas and Florida State to this thing, man, Wisconsin potentially.
And Jimbo Fisher's still out there too. Jimbo Fisher is a good coach. Shoot, Brian Kelly's a good coach. Brian Kelly has won everywhere he's went. Grand Valley State won a couple of natties. Central Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame. He might be a little weird and rub people the wrong way. I was going to say, it just doesn't seem like he's a good hang. Yeah, bad body language on the sideline. I know that. But like the dude's won a ton of games. Jimbo Fisher's won a ton of games. Jimbo's won 71% of his games. Kelly's won 70% of the games at LSU, just not good enough. So there's just a ton of stuff out there. You're like, man, I could rant about this. Eli Drinkwitz is up there too. He's at Missouri. Is he going to stay? I don't know. He's doing a phenomenal job. Illinois fans might want him to leave with this Missouri-Illinois battle coming up every year.
J Leman, you're the goods, man. A lot to talk about. You brought it today, as you always do. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Let's go.
It's never too soon to plan for Super Bowl season, and installing a Tushy bidet makes bathroom visits so much more comfortable for your guests and your pipes. I know this ad can make some people uncomfortable. They'll laugh about it, but I'm telling you guys, installing a Tushy bidet makes every bathroom visit so much better. Never feel cleaner in your life. It is an absolute game changer. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and the bottom health for life. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. And I'm not a handyman, guys, but installing the Tushy bidet took me about 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm telling you, it is a game changer for you. Put it in my bathroom, downstairs bathroom, and it's fantastic. So I'm telling you, you need to give the Tushy bidet a try. And for a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code Illini at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code Illini. Yes, for a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code Illini at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code Illini.